Okay, let's talk about Florida, because right now everyone seems to think the Sunshine State's real estate market can't lose. No income tax, endless beaches, retirees and investors flooding in. It sounds like the safest bet in America. But here's the truth almost nobody is ready to admit. 10 Florida cities are sitting on a housing bubble so fragile, one shock could send it crashing down in 2026. If you own property in any of them, this might be the wake-up call you didn't want to hear. Maybe you moved here for the dream life. Sunshine year-round, no state income tax, maybe even that canal front home with a boat in the backyard. And for a while, it looked perfect. But beneath the palm trees, the cracks are already forming. Insurance premiums exploding, HOAS draining wallets, new construction flooding the market, and climate risks rewriting the rules. Together, they're turning Florida's hottest cities into ticking time bombs. Here's my promise. No wasted time, no sugarcoating, just the facts you need before the headlines hit. And if you want to stay ahead of the storm, hit that subscribe button now, because the markets I'm about to show you could wipe out years of savings. With that said, let's dive straight into number 10. Number 10, Cape Coral. This coastal city turned into one of Florida's hottest markets during the pandemic, with home prices soaring more than 60% in just a few years. On paper, it looked like paradise. Brand new subdivisions, canals stretching through neighborhoods, and plenty of people fleeing high-cost states to settle here. But what felt like unstoppable growth has started to crack wide open. Insurance costs after Hurricane Ian doubled or even tripled, and many homeowners suddenly found themselves unable to afford their premiums. That alone scared off thousands of potential buyers. Developers didn't slow down, they kept building. Cape Coral now has a massive pipeline of new homes coming online, just as demand is cooling. Population growth has slowed to a trickle, while inventory has surged. You can see the desperation on the streets. For sale signs lined up like dominoes, with handwritten stickers marking down prices again and again. Entire blocks that once looked like the future now feel like a waiting room no one wants to sit in. The flood risk only adds fuel to the fire. FEMA's updated maps are pushing more properties into high-risk categories, which means even higher insurance bills. That shiny waterfront home that seemed like a bargain 2 years ago, now it's a money pit. Realtors whisper about deals falling through at the closing table because buyers get spooked by quotes that sound more like car payments on a Ferrari. Even longtime owners are cashing out, worried about what comes next. And remember, this is only number 10 on the list. If Cape Coral already looks shaky, just wait until you hear about the next 9 cities. Number 9, Port St. Lucie. For years, this city was hyped as Florida's affordable hidden gem, a place where families priced out of Miami or Palm Beach could finally own a home. Between 2020 and 2022, prices surged nearly 50%, pushed higher by remote workers and retirees chasing sunshine. But that affordability promise has collapsed under the weight of rising insurance premiums, higher property taxes, and stagnant local wages. The same people who once fled here for a cheaper lifestyle are now struggling to keep their homes. Developers only added fuel to the fire. Entire master plan communities broke ground at once, flooding the market with inventory. Thousands of homes are either half-finished or sitting unsold, while builders scrambled to lure buyers with closing cost credits, rate buydowns, and even free backyard pools. But none of that solves the core problem. The numbers don't add up. With household incomes averaging around $65,000 and median home prices pushing $400,000, the gap is simply too wide. Take a drive toward the western edge of the city and you'll see it firsthand. Streets lined with pristine model homes, empty driveways, and whole phases of construction that feel like they've been abandoned mid-project. Realtors call it a temporary pause, but longtime locals are whispering a different word: bubble. And if the bubble pops here, it won't be the only one. Because as shaky as things look, the next city on this list makes Port St. Lucie seem stable by comparison. Number 8, Naples. On the surface, this luxury hotspot still looks untouchable. Mansions on the beach, gated golf communities, and a reputation as the Beverly Hills of Florida. Prices here soared to record highs between 2020 and 2023, with some neighborhoods doubling in value practically overnight. But behind the glossy image, serious cracks are forming. The ultra-wealthy can pay cash, sure, but the market isn't just made of billionaires. Middle and upper middle buyers are stretched thin, and even high earners are starting to balk at insurance premiums that now rival mortgage payments. Inventory is quietly building. High-end condos sit empty, single-family homes linger for months, and price cuts are happening even in neighborhoods where homes once sold within days. Realtors don't advertise it, but sellers are offering under-the-table incentives just to keep deals alive. Add in the rising cost of flood insurance, especially after FEMA's new risk maps. And suddenly that forever home by the ocean looks like a financial anchor dragging families under. The streets tell the story better than any statistic. Drive past those palm-lined avenues and you'll notice something strange. Open houses every weekend, luxury homes relisted multiple times, and motivated seller tags on properties that were once status symbols. The shine is wearing off, and fast. And here's the part nobody saw coming. Even the luxury markets aren't safe anymore. If Naples is already slipping, what happens in cities without billionaire safety nets? Number 7, Kissimmee. Just a short drive from Disney World, this city was marketed as the perfect blend of vacation living and family-friendly affordability. Investors piled in, buying up properties to flip or rent out on Airbnb, convinced the tourist cash would never stop flowing. Between 2020 and 2022, prices skyrocketed, with ordinary homes doubling in value thanks to short-term rental hype. But now the cracks are impossible to ignore. Tourism numbers aren't what they used to be. Competition between rentals is fierce, and new restrictions on short-term rentals are turning dreams of easy income into financial nightmares. Homeowners who stretch their budgets to snag an investment property are struggling to cover costs. Mortgage payments, property taxes, HOA fees, and skyrocketing insurance bills are eating away profits. And when the math doesn't work, owners start selling, creating a flood of listings in neighborhoods that used to be investor gold mines. Walk down some of these communities today, and you'll notice a weird silence. Pools sitting empty, driveways without cars, and vacation homes that haven't seen a guest in months. What's even more concerning is how dependent Kissimmee has become on a single industry. When tourism slows, the entire market wobbles. Unlike luxury markets where cash buyers can hold out, many here can't absorb the losses. And here's the chilling part. If a city next to the most visited theme parks on Earth can't keep its housing market stable, what chance do other mid-tier Florida cities have? Number 6, Daytona Beach. For decades, this city carried the image of endless spring breaks, fast cars, and oceanfront condos that look like a guaranteed investment. During the pandemic boom, prices here exploded, some properties jumping 40% in less than 2 years. Investors from out of state rushed in, convinced the beachside rentals would cover mortgages with ease. But today, the shine is fading. Insurance premiums have spiked so sharply that many condo associations are doubling fees just to keep buildings covered. For owners, that means monthly costs higher than their original mortgage. Even worse, many of the oceanfront towers are aging fast. After the Surfside condo collapse in Miami, strict new inspection rules hit the entire state. Daytona Beach is filled with buildings over 30 or 40 years old, and the repair bills are brutal, running into the tens of millions. Owners are facing special assessments that can total $100,000 or more per unit. That's sending shockwaves through the market as people realize their affordable beach condo could turn into a financial trap overnight. Walk down Atlantic Avenue today and you'll spot the evidence. Condos that linger for months, price cuts plastered across online listings, and once busy tourist rentals sitting dark in peak season. Realtors whisper about desperate sellers who are slashing prices just to escape looming repair bills. And if you think Daytona looks unstable, the next city shows what happens when overbuilding and high costs collide in a major metro. Number 5, Miami. This is the city everyone thought could never fall. Billionaire condos on the skyline, endless foreign money pouring in, and a reputation as one of the hottest luxury markets in the world. But beneath the glass towers, the foundations are shaking. Miami's prices surged more than 65% from 2020 to 2023. But what looked unstoppable is now colliding with hard reality. Insurance premiums for waterfront properties are skyrocketing. Lenders are getting nervous, and many buyers who stretch their budgets at the peak are already underwater. The condo market is especially fragile. After Surfside, strict inspection laws hit Miami harder than anywhere else in Florida. Towers built in the 70s, 80s, and even 90s are now facing repair bills so high, owners are walking away. Entire associations are in turmoil, voting on whether to levy six-figure assessments or watch their buildings slip into disrepair. Meanwhile, luxury condos that once sold to foreign investors in cash are sitting empty, relisted month after month. Drive through Brickell or Sunny Isles and you'll see towers with darkened windows, a sign that investors are holding empty units while waiting for buyers that never arrive. Locals call them ghost condos, and the number's only growing. Add in rising sea levels and repeated flooding in Miami Beach, and even the wealthy are starting to question whether this is a safe long-term bet. But here's the twist. Miami still has billionaire money to cushion the fall. The next city doesn't, and when the correction hits there, it won't just be painful, it'll be devastating. Number 4, Tampa. Over the last few years, this Gulf Coast city was one of the hottest destinations in the country. Tech workers from California, retirees from the Midwest, even young families priced out of Miami, all of them poured into Tampa, convinced it was the next big thing. Prices shot up more than 50% since 2020, and entire suburbs exploded overnight. But now, the market is running headfirst into a wall. Inventory is quietly stacking up in communities like Wesley Chapel and Riverview. Builders promised endless demand, but today they're handing out massive incentives, tens of thousands in credits, free upgrades, even mortgage buydowns, just to keep sales moving. Meanwhile, rents are falling, which means the investors who thought they could cover mortgages with easy tenants are already underwater. Then there's the elephant in the room: storms. After multiple hurricane seasons with billion-dollar damages, insurance rates across Tampa Bay are climbing so fast that even longtime residents are being priced out. Add in rising property taxes, and the supposed affordable alternative to Miami is starting to look anything but affordable. Take a drive through some of the new developments on the city's edge, and it's obvious. Model homes with nobody visiting, empty playgrounds in brand new neighborhoods, and entire rows of for sale signs that tell the real story better than any chart. And here's the part that should keep every homeowner up at night. Tampa isn't even the worst of it. Number 3, Orlando. At first glance, the heart of Florida tourism still looks unstoppable. Theme parks packed with visitors, hotels buzzing, and a metro area that grew faster than almost any other in the state during the pandemic. Prices jumped more than 55% between 2020 and 2023, fueled by remote workers and investors betting that demand would never slow. But beneath the bright lights of Disney and Universal, Orlando's housing market is showing dangerous signs of stress. The oversupply problem is massive. Developers built thousands of new homes on the city's outskirts, convinced families would keep pouring in forever. Now entire neighborhoods sit half-sold, with builders offering record-high incentives to move inventory. Meanwhile, short-term rental investors who banked on tourists are realizing the returns don't cover their skyrocketing costs. HOA fees, maintenance, and especially insurance are bleeding them dry. Even the long-term rental market is softening. As more supply hits, rents have leveled off and in some areas are already falling. That's bad news for investors who stretch their finances on the assumption that rents would rise forever. Drive through areas like Lake Nona or Davenport and you'll see it. Rows of glossy new homes with for sale signs and others with owners trying to rent them out at prices nobody's willing to pay. Here's the real danger. Orlando's local government has leaned heavily on growth projections to fund infrastructure and schools. If property values start sliding, budget holes open up fast, and cuts to services could drag prices down even further. And if that sounds bad, wait until you see number 2. Number 2, Jacksonville. This city was one of Florida's fastest risers during the pandemic. Families from all over the country rushed in, drawn by the promise of cheaper homes, a growing job market, and plenty of space. Prices surged nearly 50% in just a few years, and entire suburbs seemed to appear overnight. But the same forces that fueled Jacksonville's rise are now starting to pull it down. Builders overplayed their hand, massive new developments were approved across the metro, and thousands of homes hit the market all at once. Now inventory is growing faster than buyers can keep up with, and price cuts are spreading like wildfire. Walk through neighborhoods on the city's south and west sides and you'll see it. Brand new homes with empty driveways, open houses with no visitors, and reduced price banners waving in the wind. The economic side is just as fragile. Jacksonville's job growth hasn't kept pace with the cost of housing. Wages are well below those in Miami or Tampa, yet home prices here climb just as high. That mismatch is already forcing buyers to back out of contracts. And with interest rates still elevated, the affordability gap only gets wider. There's another storm brewing, literally. Jacksonville's long coastline makes it one of Florida's most exposed cities for hurricanes, and insurers know it. Premiums have jumped so high that some homeowners are being dropped altogether, leaving them scrambling for state-backed coverage. When insurance costs more than a mortgage, the market can't hold. And here's the kicker. Jacksonville might be oversupplied and overexposed, but the city at number 1 makes this look tame. Number 1, Northport. If there's one city in Florida that shows exactly how dangerous this housing bubble has become, it's Northport. During the pandemic, this small Gulf Coast community turned into one of the fastest growing cities in America. Prices skyrocketed more than 70% in just a few years, fueled by retirees, investors, and families fleeing higher cost areas. On paper, it looked unstoppable, but the reality on the ground tells a very different story. The city approved tens of thousands of new housing permits, betting on endless demand. Builders rushed to pour concrete and frame houses, convinced buyers would line up forever. But that pipeline is now colliding with shrinking demand. The result? Entire subdivisions sitting half-finished, rows of homes listed for months without offers, and builders quietly slashing prices while throwing in massive incentives. Drive through Northport today and it's eerie. Gleaming new homes with nobody moving in, playgrounds without kids, and for sale signs leaning in the Florida sun. Insurance and flooding are pouring fuel on the fire. After Hurricane Ian tore through the region, premiums exploded, doubling or even tripling for many households. FEMA's new flood zone maps pushed even more properties into high-risk categories, and suddenly the dream of owning a canal-front home became a financial nightmare. Families who thought they had locked in stability are now facing bills they can't afford, and investors are racing for the exits before the market fully cracks. But here's the most dangerous part. Northport doesn't have the safety nets of Miami's billionaire buyers or Orlando's tourism machine. When this city's market tips over, there's nothing to slow the fall. Locals whisper it feels like 2008 all over again. Except this time, the pressure isn't just from bad loans, it's from forces no one can control: insurance, storms, and overbuilding. And if you think this is only about Northport, think again. When the fastest growing city in America's hottest state starts to collapse, it sends shockwaves everywhere. The Florida housing market isn't cooling. It's standing on the edge of a cliff. Look, I know this is heavy. If you own a home in one of these cities right now, it probably feels like a punch to the stomach. You worked hard, saved up, and thought you were buying into stability. But the truth is, what looked like Florida's unstoppable boom is already cracking beneath the surface. Insurance premiums exploding, new construction flooding the market, wages falling behind, and storms rewriting the math. It's a perfect storm that too many people are ignoring. The sad reality? The game was stacked. Builders, investors, and funds made their money on the way up, and now ordinary families are left holding the bag. But here's the thing. You're not powerless. Knowing the risks before they hit gives you time to prepare, to protect your savings, and to make smarter moves than the speculators ever will. And don't think this is just Florida. The same patterns are starting to show up in other states too: Arizona, Texas, even the Carolinas. If you think this list was brutal, just wait until you see what's happening there. So here's my advice. Stay alert, stay informed, and don't fall for the hype. Because the difference between losing everything and coming out ahead is knowing the truth before the headlines hit. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening in Florida real estate, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe right now. The next update could be the warning that saves you from making the biggest financial mistake of your life.